Welcome to the Metals Investment Forum. It's my great pleasure to have GFG Resource CEO Brian Skanderbeg with me. Brian, welcome.
Thank you very much, Chen. Happy to be with you guys today.
Okay, good. You seem to have a very fantastic drilling result lately. Maybe you can start with that and tell us about the GFG story first.
Yeah, GFG is exploring in Timmins here, and we put some great results out in Q4 last year and followed that up again with a release just here last week. And, these are solid results. They're 50, 80, 100 gram meter product stuff. And whenever you're drilling, good grades with good gram meter products, these have a strong chance to be economic. In working in an area like the Abitibi, we really think we're on to something with the Montclair project and lots of pending results as well. So yeah, we've certainly been busy in the last quarter and certainly for the last 3 years in Timmins.
Oh, great. So you say you have a few more results coming?
Yeah, in Q4 we drilled about 3,500 meters, 15 holes. We put 2 releases out on those already. We also have another 8 holes pending. So we would anticipate some good news flow here in the coming weeks and months with the final results from last year. And we would also plan to be starting the rig up again shortly here in terms of following up on that. So really optimistic with not just Montclair, where we put some good drill holes out, 5 grams over 13 meters was what we published in later in last year, and that was the deepest hole in the property, but also Aljo. Aljo is where we have these 8 holes pending. Visuals on the core look really strong. I'm optimistic we have some good results coming on those ones, and those are the pending results. And then when we look at starting the drill rig back up here again, we'll look at both of these targets again, and this is obviously Gold Arm property and Montclair is the main target.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So there is a new mine just built next to you. Can you tell us and how close it is to your property?
Yeah, when you think about Timmins and the infrastructure here, and this is one of the big pieces of why we came to Timmins. You've got Newmont, you've got Alamos and Young-Davidson, Pan American assets, and the new guy on the block is IM Gold. Now, Côté has been in development for a long time. It's a huge mineral system, and if I just talk geological endowment, it's a 15-20 million ounce gold system. Infrastructure's being finalized. I believe production in terms of commercial scheduled for Q2. This is a 36,000 ton a day mill. So this is by far the biggest piece of infrastructure and investment that's ever gone into Timmins. And it really sits about 10 kilometers away from our Doré property. Huge investment and commitment to the belt, to the people, to the Abitibi, to Ontario, to the First Nations of the area. Really, really positive. When you can see a company step up and say, we're going to spend $2.5 billion in this area on infrastructure, and we see a 20, a 30-year mine life here. That's the type of infrastructure and spending that's going into it. The Doré block, which is about 200 square kilometers of ground that GFG controls, it's on the same structural corridor, right out deformation zone that hosts the Côté gold deposit. Borden's off to the west of us there. Up to the north is the Penn property of also GFG Resources. So, just a good, strong example of, the competitiveness of the belt, the infrastructure, and the investments that are going on there, and the endowment. I go back as a geologist to say, what's the endowment, which is the inherent amount of gold there? How much is left to be found yet? There's lots of cover here. Mm-hmm. If we understand Côté was only found in the late 90s, 2000s. It's not an old gold deposit. And that's an example of what you can find in these areas. 15 million ounces found in the 90s, now seeing a $2 billion investment. It'll be a 300,000 or 400,000 ounce a year producer. These are the style of systems we're looking for.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, with great potential. And also, I believe you also have some optionality for different metals in your area.
It's key to think about that. And yes, GFG is a gold-focused explorer, and we're looking at Gold Arm and Pan and Doré for these, the gold shear zone hosted gold, like is typical of Timmins. But you cannot forget, Kidd Creek. Kidd Creek is one of the largest VMS deposits in the world. It sits off to the northwest of Timmins and was produced for decades. Exceptionally high-grade VMS-style mineralization. It's hosted in Kidd volcanic stratigraphy. That's the same volcanic rocks that are all across our properties. So we actually have pretty high embedded opportunity and prospectivity for VMS-style mineralization, particularly on Gold Arm, where we see the felsic volcanic stratigraphy developed, but also to an extent over on Penn. So that's one angle that's kind of interesting. Outside of gold is the VMS pitch, copper, zinc, gold. There's the nickel play. And if you think of, people think of Sudbury, they think of Timmins or nickel, think of Norilsk, but there's things like Canada Nickel out there. And Canada Nickel is an exceptionally large, low-grade nickel deposit. And it was, a lot of people doubted it over the years. But if you look at its history over the last 1 year, you've seen Anglo come in, you've seen Agnico Eagle come in, and now you've seen the Japanese, I think it's Samsung, came in as well. So these are all investors into Timmins Nickel, Canada Nickel, into Timmins, in a nickel story in Timmins. We actually see a lot of ultramafics. We see a lot of nickel potential on some of our properties. And we've got all the base geochemical filtering and targeting data across our land positions. So we are looking at that optionality, particularly on Penn, where there's quite a few ultramafics, but also on Gold Arm, the property out east of Timmins. So those two would provide some optionality. And Anders Carlson, who's our VP Exploration, has very strong nickel background too. So, you're probably going to hear GFT talk about gold. You're certainly going to see us hear us talk about gold as a focus. But there's these other value drivers and value levers that we can pull across commodities because we control such a large land position, 800 square kilometers. And we do see optionality into these other commodities.
Oh, excellent. That's, you make it very unique. I remember there was another gold company in Quebec, in Aztec, and then they have other metals, and actually stock doubled just because people think that the other metal was.
Yeah, I mean, the lithium play is a very commonality one. We're not gonna pitch that, but we're good explorers. If we see an optionality and see an angle to unlock value for shareholders for looking for a non-conventional nickel sulfide ore body, we'll go drill some holes in it. If we see a VMS target that looks compelling and any affinities to Kidd Creek style mineralization, we have VMS style intercepts on both our properties already. We're certainly not afraid to go and put some holes and target on that, and we certainly have the technical team to go about it. So I think you're absolutely right that there's good examples out there of companies that have unlocked a lot of shareholder value by looking at some alternative commodities.
Oh, excellent. Tell us your plan for this year. You already have some very interesting drilling results from last year drilling.
Yeah, we do. And as I said, we have some pending results as well that you'll see come out through the remainder of Q1 here. We would anticipate drilling about 8,000 meters this year. If you looked at our history in Timmins, we've always spent, $2.5 to $3.5 million in the ground. And what that does for a company like GFG is allow us to drill somewhere between 8,000 to 12,000 meters into the ground. And I think it's a good pace when you're at our stage of company. We keep our rig active for 4 or 5 months of the year. We get good news flow out of it. We continually advance targets. And if we get something that's really shaping up to say we need to hit this harder, then you ramp up that spending profile. But I think for our style of company, where we are in terms of our targeting, that's the right level of spend. 2.5 to 3.5 million a year and sort of 8,000 to 12,000 meters is what we really like to see going to the ground.
Okay, great. It looks like you have a very active drilling program. Maybe we should touch a little bit about rattlesnake, and that's another optionality for you.
Yeah, rattlesnake, 100%. I think is something I still really like. It's an interesting project. This is in Wyoming. It's an alkaline gold district like Wharf and Cripple Creek. So, huge potential there. That being said, it's not our core focus. It's a district that has seen about 100,000 meters of drilling. There's not a compliant resource there, although there's certainly a reasonable gold endowment. I think it's something I would love to find the right partner for, see it advancement. So we're looking at a few strategic alternatives for this project. We're active on a few companies right now, and I'd love to find the right home and the right path that allows us to participate in this asset moving forward somehow. I think it's a great asset. I think there's lots of opportunity yet in that belt. I think Wyoming is a great place to do work. I think you have companies like Visionary Metals. You have companies like Relevant Gold. These guys are doing good work in Wyoming, doing solid work on some projects that aren't that distal from Rattlesnake Hill. So I think for GFG, it's certainly a good lever that we can unlock some value at, and we're working on that one.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, good luck. Looking forward to see your exciting drilling results.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Shannon. Thanks very much to your investors today.